correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome back to the How We Roll Gaming podcast. I hope everyone out there is doing well. Nick, Robert, welcome. I hope you two are doing well as well.
Doing well.
Been doing well so far. Had a very pleasant week. You?
Yep, pretty good. With between, of course, Alien Earth and the season finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which we still need to get you to watch to kind of rev up for a potential Star Trek game.
Yeah. It's on my list somewhere.
I was not super well. I pulled something in my back a little bit, but I got it back in place with some when I went to a chiropractor.
Right on. And
chiropractor, or did you just tell Nicole to hit you?
Well, that would have been cheaper.
I mean, you could have called all of us too. We could have walked on your back, and what Robert could have grabbed your ankles, I could have grabbed your wrists, and we could have backed away from each other really fast.
Well, I haven't signed you into the will yet.
Well, you do have that pull. We could try some water therapy.
I'm doing a bit. I'm doing better now.
I did forget to mention on our last episode that I'm kind of excited. More games to dive into that I don't have time to look at and read, but the first part of my shipment for the Kickstarter for Free League's Coriolis the Great Dark came in before
nice.
The last episode.
I got an email about that it's been shipped, but I wasn't part of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, the core rulebook and the GM screen has showed up. The starter box is coming in a later shipment.
And I did check in with Free League's Alien Evolved Edition. And yeah, we are getting close to getting the next edition of the Alien RPG. Super excited about that.
Yes, it should
I'm
be
sure
shipping
you
in
are.
October. I mean, I've been poking through the PDFs of it a little bit, and it's kind of funny. There are various outlets online, like the Alien RPG group on Facebook that I'm in. There's always somebody at least once a week. Is it going to have stuff from Alien Earth in it? No, it's not.
It's not done yet. They have to wait.
And they've already be excited the fact that they're going to have Alien Romulus stuff in that. And so that means your favorite creature, Robert.
You can't use it. If you use it, you forgo any way you can use the eye.
Oh no, that's not an agreement. We didn't make that agreement.
I totally remember that.
That is kind of what we have penciled in for a couple episodes down the line, letting Alien Earth finish, and what happens when you want to add elements of new media into a game that is based on licensed IPs. So, but we want Alien Earth to be
spoilers.
Done with.
Oh, down the line.
In fact, that's probably that's a good idea for the title. Just calling it spoilers.
Good work. Yeah, that could work.
And for the thumbnail picture, it will be a picture of River Song from Doctor Who. So let it be written, so let it be done. But yeah, I really want to take a look into Coriolis the Great Dark. I backed the Kickstarter because it's Free League.
Free League is I wouldn't call it underrated, but it's like definitely someone to look into. They are constantly coming up with new stuff. They have so many great properties
And I
and
did
so
get
many
an email.
unique ideas. Like,
I'd call them an emerging giant in a sense.
I did get an email regarding my Free League Kickstarter for the uh, Blade Runner Replicant Revolution Kickstarter that ended quite some time ago, and they have had production delays due to family emergencies for one of the lead designers
yeah,
on
I
it.
think I've heard about that too. Yeah,
And it's like, oh, yeah, I keep forgetting that I backed that one.
but I mean, like, and no, we are not backed by Free League at all. But it's like we are big fans of their content and their RP contributions to the RPG space.
Let's call us what we are, Nick. We are marks for stuff that Free League puts out now. Based on the strength of what we have played of theirs and what we have bought and just looked through, we are marks. If it says Free League, they have our interest.
Again, there's like several, like, when we don't have something planned, I have like Free League one shots ready for different
Yeah.
games
So Free
ready.
League, if you do want, I'm sure Nick would love to stat out the eyeball for you.
Oh, Free League does it again. I don't think they understand it because they're in Sweden. If they do, like, call us. We have some ideas.
Well,
Horrible, terrible ideas.
I mean, as Nick likes to say, Dave Filoni always steals our ideas, so you know they work.
Dave Filoni and who else has been stealing ideas from?
Hasbro.
No, Hasbro doesn't steal our ideas. Hasbro, or more accurately, Renegade Press, listens in and says, Nick, what did you do? Don't do that again.
Asked me specifically to stop causing war crimes.
Yes. But that's what I have for our catch up. If you
Yeah.
guys are ready, we can get our business out of the way before we dive into our topic at hand
I'm
tonight.
ready if you are.
It's business
Yep.
time.
So business time. So, there is a great community of podcasts here on the D20 Radio Network. And in our last episode's discussion of pre written modular adventures, one of the topics came directly from that community. There was a discussion on the Me and Steve Talk RPGs Discord group about their then current episode about metagaming, and that conversation touched on players who've read adventures. And so I was part of that conversation, and before I solicited opinions and things like that, I got Steve and Steve's blessing to, since it was their space, not ours. But we got permission, and I got that discussion going and got some material that was used as part of our last episode. Great community.
A great
Yeah.
community, great people. In fact, me and Steve Talk RPGs is a great show where Steve and Steve have casual conversations about different RPG topics. Great guys, we know them personally. They're awesome GM and players, and we're pleased to call them friends.
So, yeah, in general, as well, they're great people. So give me and Steve Talk RPGs a listen wherever you can get your podcasts.
Yep,
Yep.
great guys.
So they are. I love them. I love it.
Good fellas.
What and
Very
I
fun to
quite
play with.
frequently, and and we don't just say that because one of the Steves seems to really love some of our games that he's played with us.
Or even run for us. He just loves us.
Yes. Yes.
Loves,
So he's like, I can just do
lo-
this and sit back.
loves, loaves. That they're in the same space.
Very, very much so. And so with that, So, in the words of Jack Nicholson's Joker,
where does he get those wonderful toys?
so and I mean, I wish that Robert had given me. Sometimes you just got to ask when a GM brings out some wonderful tool or play aid.
Why didn't somebody tell me that he had one of those things?
But yes, we're talking about unique, and we're talking about physical play specifically.
Well, we're talking about adding elements, additional elements that aren't the actual game to enhance your play. We're talking about adding music. We're talking about adding maps, minis, even
Immersion.
even tools that will help you in running your game. Like I have more less of an immersion tool, but more of an efficiency tool that I'm going
Yeah.
to mention as we go along.
Yeah, and I have a good idea for an immersion tool because we've used it before. So unless Nick
Go
brings it up, I will.
go for it. You kick us off, Robert.
Kick
Oh,
us off, Robert.
the immersion one that I really liked is we played Delta Green, where it's basically the Twilight Zone meets Men in Black. So of course we were like, okay. Nick was like, we're doing this. Basically secret agents in a top secret government agency, embedded in government agencies fighting the supernatural. We got to have a cork board, of course. We got to have the string, the pens. We got to have the pictures and the papers and the props, and just sticking them on there, doing the yarn, just wrapping around everything, and we did it. Nick's got an
We have a
entire
conspiracy board.
yeah. He's got two or three balls of yarn that we just go in, snip, then we just wrap around thumbtacks and just stick the evidence on the board.
With multiple colors, you like connect certain pieces, and like this connects to that, this connects to that.
We even have little like post note cards that when we're actually speaking to an NPC, we're literally writing it down like an investigator. Like, okay, they answered this, they said this.
It not just puts you in that, as it said, as a investigator, and puts you into that sort of conspiracy, like Files conspiracy board, but like you're actually participating, but also assist with note taking. And it's like, okay, so you're getting this information, and that's all in. It's like diegetic information put on the board, and like I'm. We both made sure that in our different versions, we did run games in Delta Green. It makes it like, okay, so they all come back and they put their information on the board and they present it to the players who weren't in that scene.
Exactly, and then
everyone sees it.
Yeah, and it's definitely working for us. I definitely like it because in our group, I am known as the note taker, but Delta Green is the only one that I don't write notes on my laptop. I write physical notes.
And it's one where everyone is writing notes, and like honestly, that's kind of interesting how every player in their individual scene was like, okay, they're writing their notes, putting it up there, and then we're like, okay, we'll connect that note card to another person's note card because it mentioned something important.
Yeah, and then we got the manila envelope with the okay, here's your briefing, here's the photo of the person you're investigating. Have at it.
It's just sort of
Yep.
It's immersion and effectively communicating, but also getting like putting you all really in the scenario.
Yeah, and then of course, I remember you saying when you did in the past when you were doing a heist type game, you were just like, well, it's a heist. We gotta have a whiteboard to write everything down.
Yep. There's all kinds of things that you can bring in that is thematically appropriate for the
Like
game.
as he mentioned, we were doing a Jewel of Yavin game, and that's what inspired me to buy. I ran it before, and it was like, well, we're doing a heist. We gotta have a whiteboard.
Of course.
We gotta.
Well, and I don't know about the two of you, but as I go about my online life, anytime I see something that I'm like, "Ooh, this could be a fun little prop or extra tool for something." I don't even necessarily have a specific use for it at that time. I'll snag it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
have
I
eight
feel
of
that too,
those.
definitely.
I have
I'm
8 of
not
those.
saying I'm not saying that I have PDFs of about half a dozen pages of quote unquote ancient Jedi texts, but I'm not saying I don't.
I have like 8 things that I like when they come up. They'll be great to deploy, but honestly, we should like what would you say is like the most basic thing that for a prop would be?
For me, oh, actually, you go first. I've been talking a lot there.
I was going to say the first thing that I think of when it comes to props or tools like that most people ask about, because you go into any online RPG space and you go to discussions about any game system, the most common question that you will probably see is, where can I find maps for insert
Hmm.
game here?
Yep, definitely.
Now, I am not one to live and die by having maps.
And I
I,
can also
I
understand. I I also would say like I can understand why newbies would be like a map is useful.
oh, it is. The what I was about to say is I'm not one to live and die by using maps, but they can absolutely be useful even if you're not using a game system that has specific square or hex grid map rules for anything. They can be useful for helping to remember and keep track of where everyone is in a given scene.
Or even like some people don't have the, for lack of a better term, vocabulary to describe a location. So they'd rather
Now,
have a visual to represent the location that they want to have in mind.
Yeah, or I
and
don't mind maps. I don't mind not having maps, but at least Cyberpunk Wind, if I could find some more cyberpunky maps, I would really appreciate it.
um, remind me of that later. I might be able to point you in a couple of right directions.
I think there's something I
Um,
could actually put you into as well.
Yeah, but
but
like Daryl said, maps don't have to just be hexagonal or whatever. Because I know when he and Nick run Far Orbit, we have a booklet that actually has a full in-depth view of a Nebulon B frigate. That is very useful because that's where we are at most of the time.
It's not
and
necessarily broken down into hexagon or square by square, but it gives like, okay, you're here, and here's the whole scale of where you are.
Yeah, you can't
right
get to B in just 5 minutes. No, that's a long trek.
now, as technology has advanced and become, some things have become more ubiquitous and affordable. Something that I thought I was being super fancy with 10 years ago is now becoming commonplace for people to do at their gaming tables, and that is, you can get yourself a cheap TV. Since they're all now flat screens, you can buy a used one and connect it to your
Most of them
laptop.
have, yeah,
USB ports.
Connect it to
Yeah.
your laptop. That most laptops these days have an HDMI port. Plug your laptop in, you can have endless maps.
and this
Uh,
comes back to one of my favorite moments that you introduced that to us. Well, to me, I think this was before Robert was here.
Yeah. Other than
yep.
some stores, I
We
haven't
were
played on
doing
a flat screen yet.
we were doing a adventure called that involved a large map for a very large encounter, and Daryl wasn't part of the game yet, but he did provide a flat screen that allowed me
Yep.
to project the map for that big adventure, and it really affected all the players involved, and even inspired him to join. I think, or at least
Well,
he got invested in the storyline going on during the adventure.
and GM Chris, our friend who has been on the show before,
Mm-hmm.
uh, has told me that there is one particular online digital map maker that Chris made a point of for his map TV. He has a 42-inch TV because this map maker designs his digital maps so that when you display the map at 100% scale on a 42-inch TV, if it's a gridded map, the grids are one by one, just like a physical map.
Nice.
And again, there's gridded, and this depends on your type of gaming situation. Such as a D&D game, you would like a gridded or hexagonal map because those are how they measure
Now,
movement.
now here is it's been ages since I have run a game from home. But when I've played here at home, here's how I had things set up. I had the TV on the coffee table, laying down. That was my main map. I also had a large magnetic dry erase board that I could put on top of that TV if I needed to hastily draw out something that I didn't have a digital map for. And part of why it was magnetic is that, okay, I'm going to flash forward ahead to the next most common question
Mm-hmm.
about play aids like this. And that is, I was I was experimenting with, not only did I have the little 1-inch round tokens that came in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars starter boxes, but I also went and I bought myself a 1-inch round scrapbooking die. And so I could print custom tokens, punch out those 1-inch ones. I had some 1-inch round 3D printed discs, or you can also buy 1-inch round wooden discs somewhere that you can glue those custom tokens down on to give them a little bit of heft if you don't just want the card stock that I was printing out on. But I found a strip of 1 inch wide. I would have preferred a sheet rather than a strip of rolled, but you know that thin magnetic material like refrigerator magnet calendars and stuff
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
the
stuff.
printed on?
kind of blackish. Yeah.
Yeah, I found a strip of that that was 1 inch thick, and since it's a scrapbooking die to cut the rounds out, it's thick enough and strong enough to cut that. I started to experiment with making those custom tokens magnetic. Now, I have since seen something else that might be a little easier to do, but a little costlier when you're dealing with custom tokens like that. If you want to make them magnetic like that, or even just protect them, period, is that if you get just the clear round coin cases for like coin collectors,
Yeah.
you can also buy little round magnets to put in there with your custom token or the punch out token or whatever to make it magnetic. But I had that magnetic dry erase board because my thought was, okay, I can put the tokens, whether I have a paper map down on top of it or a hastily drawn dry erase map, the tokens will stay in place because they're magnetic.
and that's a major thing to do. And for there, if you do wish to have a map space, there's plenty of options of like gridded paper, uh, dry erase mats. Plenty of them are available.
One of
Yes.
my favorites. Have either of you played with GM Phil from the Order 66 podcast
Yes.
at Gamer Nation Con?
Yep.
So you saw his dry erase grids.
Mm-hmm.
So for those listening, what
There's,
what
there's, a
Phil
bit, there's a
has,
bit there's a bit more elite, but really good.
well, they're not really elite, but they are genius in their
Mm-hmm.
simplicity. They're 8.5 by 11 pieces of heavy cardboard that are dry erase, and they're gridded, but the edges have like the little interlocking mat tabs, so you can lock them together. So even if you pre-draw your map on them, you can still have the quote unquote fog of war,
Yeah,
only
Oh.
putting down the segments that.
it's so cool.
And he also uses them in, this is what I love about it, is he uses them as an easy shorthand to eyeball ranges in games that like
Yeah,
Star Wars or Alien or whatever that use range bands rather than specific distances. And if he has all four of his pieces down, if another character is in a an adjacent grid square, it's engaged range.
mm-hmm.
If they're on the same 8.5 by 11 piece of the grid board, then they're in short range or close range. If they're one of those tiles away, they're medium. If they're in one of those next tiles, they're medium, and if they're beyond that, it's long and extreme.
Yeah, very impressed.
It's so simple and elegant, and I was like, I love this idea and I want to steal this idea. I have those tiles on my Amazon list. I just haven't ordered them yet because I don't really, in none of the games that I run currently have a use
For
for them.
grids. Yeah.
But I will say, like, the idea that there's plenty of cheap and easy to get dry erase mats or like paper grid mats that you can draw out things. Like,
Yeah, there's plenty of ways you can do it. And then, of course, if you don't even need a grid map, because I know some things that really help visually is I know in your game, Walking Dead, Daryl, you have a map of Las Vegas. It really helps us know where we're at. And then, of
but
course,
you
in
could also
D&D,
have in terms of RPGs, it's a lot of it is the theater of the mind.
exactly, and then also just for a universe type map in D&D, Nick has a map of Corvair, which very helps us to know, okay, where are we in terms of the actual world?
And it has like different things like with like roads, everything is like with like individual distances that I can like, okay, you traveled this many days.
Exactly.
Where are you?
And tied into maps, like I was hinting at there, the other most common question is, what minis should I use for this game?
Good question, and definitely up to debate because I know in most of our
I have
games we
nothing to
don't
say about
use.
that. I
Well,
have nothing to say about that.
I know in most of our games right now we don't really use minis. We do the theater of the mind of just okay, envision that's where you are. Sometimes we bring out tokens if we need an actual like tactical grid, but we don't actually bring out minis. Sometimes we do. I know back in our Star Wars games we did. So it's basically up to one. How's your money situation? Because either building or buying minis, You got to keep track of your money. Don't overbuy, like we say.
Obviously.
Don't always go into
Nick.
don't go into debt for this.
Nick.
Be reasonable.
Nick.
But if you can and you feel like you want to, you can always either build them, paint them if you're artistic for that. I know I definitely aren't. Or you can just buy and be like, okay, this is my person. It's entirely up to you.
Now, I go through phases where I am quite the mini goblin. I purchased a resin 3D printer specifically to print minis.
Yep. Yes, you did.
And I haven't printed anything in a while.
Had a really good, cool mini. Did he paint it or did you paint his Whisper Base mini?
I did. I got all of us minis for I got his for Whisper Base, and I got us all some for I forget what campaign it was.
Special
but
missions?
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I think it was special mission. No, it wasn't special.
I did have one. Yeah, I did have one for special missions.
Or is it Green Jedi?
No, well, mine for special missions was an Imperial Assault mini. Yeah, because there wasn't really one that really reflected my character.
Yeah,
but that I found anywhere. But that one, it worked. But
I really liked it. Like Xander's Wizard Base character. He was really cool.
I did too, and I'm not artistic, and I got big hands, so I'm not a painter.
Same here.
I'm not a good one either. Mine is passable. I look at stuff that I see.
Oh, it looked like if you painted his, it looked. You gotta admit, like it looked really cool.
Your passable is our artistic. Just we'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, I look at stuff that I see online, or I look at some of the minis that our friend Darren has painted, and I'm like, oh.
Some of those got like special gloss and stuff like that. Like,
or I see the setup where everyone's like this, and you got the giant magnifying glass where you're like, and I'm just like, I won't do that.
Well, for what it's worth, I do have a swing arm lamp that has a magnifying glass in the center of the light, simply because my eyes ain't what they were when I was 20 something and painting Warhammer minis.
Yeah, it's just whenever I see that, it's my inner child just takes me back to Toy Story 2, where the guy's fixing up Woody and he's just ding, ding,
ding. It's like I was out. There was an entire, going back to like 2019 when I went to Star Wars Celebration. There's an entire row of booths of just people like doing Legion, Star Wars Legion like paintings, and it was like,
yeah,
they were all doing that, but they had like these special like rigs, like where they would like have put a magnet on the bottom of the mini, and they'd be on top of like a soda cap, and they'd be using like a little like a makeshift drill to like turn it around so they could like individually. It was like way too intricate to like for detail. It's like,
look,
there's like a whole row of them.
Look, all we'll say is you do what makes you happy as far as minis. If you want to go the setup that Nick just described, more power to you. Or if you just want to do theater of the mind, feel free to do that as well.
Now,
in my opinion,
a middle ground.
Minis are fine, and it's like I'm perfectly normal about minis.
Minis are fine, and
Nick, aren't you the one that got a mini shipped from like, I forget where you got it shipped from, but I know it was like another country that you got this mini.
Well,
Europe.
Minis can be a lot of fun. Minis can be really cool, but minis can be expensive. So there
Mm-hmm.
there's
Warhammer.
easy ways of any minis. Yeah,
Warhammer.
there's an easy way
Maybe a
around
specific.
it though.
Robert, you're alluding to a specific mini of mine.
Mhm.
But there's an easy way um, around that expense, or there's multiple easy ways around it. You can use extra dice at the table to mark positions, or you can do kind of what I was talking about when we were talking about the maps.
Small tokens.
Small tokens, what 1 inch rounds, because that's what's going to come in most starter boxes of any system if
I
they have any
remember
kind of
back
tokens to represent
when I
characters.
first introduced my friends to it. It's like we didn't have minis at the time. It's like so like we had a whole bunch of multicolored you know what do they call there's
You
Explain.
like
can even
What are you thinking about?
metal
Like,
metal
describe it out.
metal thing metal things that like put papers together like
paper
yeah,
clips.
paper clips. They
Okay,
had a
paper
whole bunch
clips.
of multicolored paper clips and there was like, okay, that's you, and we just use the regular colored ones as like those are the bad guys.
Good work. Good work. Yeah, definitely can
And,
work.
and just like we just folded them into like so they could stand, and it's like it's just they were standees. They just were there.
Yeah. So there's
Got
always different ways you can use to say this is where my character's at.
Yeah.
and the idea is like visualization is a lot of RPGs are theater of the mind, but there's a lot of people that require visualization. I'm a visual person myself. That's why I like having like props and materials.
Yeah, it definitely helps with immersion. And something else that can help with immersion, and I know that all three of us have used this: music.
Oh yeah, definitely. You want to set a scene or you want to evoke an emotion? Use music.
Get a soundtrack in there. Like some of my best
Music
sessions
and
have been like with a good soundtrack in there.
sound effects.
That too.
And you can find some great freeware software out there that basically work as mixers meant for role-playing games that will
Plenty of
allow
them.
you. There's music over here, but I also have my sound effects over here in this window. So while the background music is playing, or while I have ambiance like a forest or whatever playing, oh, suddenly there's hoofbeats coming down the road. I can play the hoofbeat sound effect
Especially with
while the
works with
rest of
like
it's going.
with wireless speakers, phones. So like, okay, computers doing that thing. You could connect your phone to another thing, and that can create a more dynamic soundscape.
Yep. And then yeah, we've all done this. I know in my recent Legend of the Five Rings, my prologue was a battle, so I just had fighting sounds happening in the background to set the scene. And when they fought a particularly bad monster, I found a soundbite of a certain scream that I liked that I used to play that to kind of see, yeah, this is a frightening opponent.
And
And
it it kicked ass. It got us all involved and like excited into it.
my Star Wars Rock Band campaign, one session was a battle of the bands, and we had that we had there was a back and forth between me as the GM and the players of music when the band that the PC's band was playing against was performing. I had tracks picked out for them that I was like, okay, this is the kind of sound that I'm going for this band. But I let the players decide, okay, here's what we're going to play in response. And while they were making their roles for the skill challenge for their part of that song, they picked a song and all agreed on it and played it. Like, okay, here's our song that's in response. And we went back and forth for 3 songs each. Because it wasn't just background noise, it was diegetic noise.
I have a ton of ambient noise for like several different games and ideas. Like when it hits well, but it's like normally it's a good background, but sometimes we got a great rhythm going on. It's like, did you say it? It goes back to one of my favorite sayings, like when they say like, did you intend for this to play here? It's like, yeah, it just happened to play there, but it's like I just put that in the whole sequence.
In the words of Dr. Peter Venkman, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Mm-hmm. And then we're just saying, with all these resources out there, you don't got to be a sound producer or a music composer to put in some ambience in your campaign. There's plenty of resources. Go out there. Don't even have to pay for some of them. They're free. Just look to see if you need something. Go find it.
Just make a YouTube playlist.
Make a YouTube playlist. If you want to experiment, there are free sound editing softwares out there like Audacity that you can play around with.
If you want to get specific, granular.
Yeah, like my first campaign that I ran in the FFG Star Wars system, or no, my second one, at one point, 1 or 2 of the characters went into the world between worlds. And as we heard in the Rebels episode that introduced the world between worlds, when Ezra first entered the world between worlds, he heard echoes of various lines from movies and TV episodes from throughout what had
Spoiler
then
alert.
come out of
it's been out for years.
The Star Wars, of the Star Wars series and movies. I went through Star Wars movies and TV episodes and pulled out lines here and there.
A horrible thing that you would never do normally.
Yes, I would never do. And I pulled out lines here and there, ran them through an echo filter in Audacity so that they had that same sort of echoing effect as in the world between worlds. And I pulled 1, maybe 2 dozen of them, and I had them running on just a random loop while that character was in the world between worlds. And I had them at a really low volume. Had them at a really low volume. But I also picked lines that were thematically appropriate for what that session was about and what that character was running into. Yeah.
Again,
yes.
So there's a major factor of like props should impact your setting.
Yes, and
you shouldn't put props without. You should put props in with like, oh, I just want to do that. It's mostly like, will this impact the setting? Will this impact your players? It's probably the most important thing to think about.
Yes, and we've talked about music, maps, minis. There's a very common one that I've used, and I know we've all used. You're introducing a character, a PC or NPC, depending on it, and of course everyone's gonna have the question, okay, what do they look like? And you're just like, rather than describing it, I might describe a little, but here, let me just show you this picture. That's what they look. That's what they look like.
And that's
Yep.
become a very unique thing, especially now because there's a brand new angle to that, and I might be controversial in saying like I'm not opposed to AI images.
Get out.
Well, as a non-artistic person myself, I definitely don't make my own images. For me, I either go to Google Images or I've actually found that Pinterest actually really works when you're trying to look for an image. So I just go there, maybe find something, make sure to not say it's mine. Everyone knows in our group it's not mine, so there's no copyright problem, legal. So and then I just post it on Discord and be like, okay, this is what this person looks like. This is what that person looks like. So that our players have an image like, okay, this is what they look like. You can't imagine how they're talking to you.
Yeah. And as a player, I even kind of go that route as a player too, try to find an image of my character. But one of the things that I try to do, and this goes back to one of the first campaigns that I was in long term. It's probably the literal second campaign that I was in that lasted a long time, and that is unless it is a completely non-human character like a dragonborn or an
Yeah.
alien of
Wookie.
some kind or whatever. But if I'm playing a nominally human character, I will cast that character with, okay, if this were a movie or a TV show, who would be playing this character?
Usually that is what I would use. Like I again like don't try to like cancel me, but like you can use artificial intelligence to help create a character that is not entirely but based on an individual. But it's like
Nick, you're
it's
fired.
not again.
Just for the sake of
I'm making the
acknowledging the
argument.
elephant, just for the sake of acknowledging the elephant in the room, I am of two minds about generative AI of that kind, because I know my fair share of creators, and although we are low level on that chain, not having anything published, even self-published at this point,
Oh, you have to
I
hit
still
me where
say
I am, man. I'm still trying to get published.
I'm not published either, even though I've had aspirations since my age was in single digits. But what I'm saying is, I know enough creators, both visual and literary, that I completely understand, empathize, and in large part agree with the complaints against generative AI.
Yes.
Yes, and I think it's good
Because
to an extent because just kind of side tangent. I was listening to a horror RPG horror story, where the DM of a group ran everything story when players rolled. He would put it all in an AI and let the AI decide what happens.
And that's honestly that itself could be an interesting like discussion in and of itself. But I feel like in this case, like generating like a AI image of a character or a
and
speculative like of an NPC type character that could be developed later is a start and is a useful tool, but
I'm not going to
would
I'm
not
not
be the
going to sit
rule.
here I'm not going to sit here and say that I have never used AI
Me
for
neither.
an
I'm sure some of
image
the
Same
or
here.
some wording.
I'm sure some of the images
But
I've found have been AI art, but it's just like I'm not stealing
but
anybody's job. I'm not
yeah.
trying to publish anything. It's just for
Oh, yeah,
visual.
Well,
as I say, yeah.
where where my issue and where my sympathies with my creator friends comes in is that AI is still the Wild West, and even the big companies that run AI are rarely training it ethically.
Yeah.
This is
And
true, and
And
it's a way larger discussion than our sphere,
yeah, way
but it's
more
part of our
ethical
sphere.
and legal and all that concerns that bigger people have to tackle. But I'm sure we all
As
know certain scandals that AI art has gotten into with companies over the
in
past.
our sphere, it's like there is benefits and there's also downsides, and that's something that could be discussed in a much more detailed point at a later time. But it's like I feel it's like, but it's not. And
yeah,
right now, it is a tool that is
Steering
useful.
back to images.
yeah, but so what as I was saying, I tried even as a GM with NPCs, a lot of times I try to cast someone. And
And that goes
particularly
back to our I think one of our
yeah,
best is when we went to Game of Con, where we casted
where we
probably a really
cast
great
the where we cast the alien pre-gens that we made. But
Yep.
personally, one of my favorite ones is in the Walking Dead game. There actually there are two that are my favorites. Uh, I think we've mentioned in a previous episode that the way Walking Dead sets up, in addition to the PCs being survivors in a party of characters, it has you roll for additional NPCs who are part of the party.
Yep.
And you rolled, and two of the characters, one is an elderly woman who's kind of a busybody, who is um, I can't remember if it said that she's wheelchair bound or if you all decided that.
I think we decided
But
to really feel that.
I don't know for sure. We'd have to
I
check.
don't remember. It's not important to this. But as I was thinking about her, and as a group, we were all fleshing out her character. All of a sudden in my head, I heard her speaking with the voice of Mrs. Landingham from The West Wing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
And
I remember
so,
we all agreed with that.
and so when I was finding pictures of the group of NPCs, I just pulled a picture of, Catherine Jewston, who played Mrs. Landingham on The West Wing.
Yeah, I think I do remember that. I do remember that.
One of the other NPCs was a politician, a senator, who
Mm-hmm.
it gives all of the names in that table of the NPCs. His name was Elijah Flores. And immediately what came to my mind there was also from the West Wing in the final couple of seasons when Jimmy Smits played
Yeah.
senator and presidential candidate. Um, I've forgotten what Santos's first name was now, but it's Santos from the West Wing.
But I think
And so,
we all were like we were all on board with that.
I
so
even joked. I
I,
was like, "Oh no, not him."
I, I, I cast um, Jimmy Smits
Quote unquote.
from the
Yeah.
West Wing as Flores.
Yeah, and it sometimes even works against players because I know in that same Walking Dead one, my my character Hank, how he talks, how he acts. I forget who you said it was like, but you were like, "Okay, I'm just seeing this actor as your character Hank."
What was it? Was it when we started talking about Wilford Brimley at the last
Yeah, I
I
session?
think it
think,
was Wilford Brimley.
yeah,
Yeah,
Wilford Brimley.
because I was doing everything, and I think it was either you or Betsy that was like, "Okay, I'm just seeing you as Wilford Brimley now."
I think it was Betsy that brought up Wilford Brimley.
At which point I alarmed everyone by pointing out that Paul Rudd right now is as old or
Oh
older
yeah,
than Wilford Brimley was when he filmed Cocoon.
that's what like that's what caused everyone to like get very like concerned. It's like, oh no,
So
age is a thing.
that is a great way to help come up with pictures of characters, even if the picture that you find isn't setting appropriate for them.
Exactly.
You know,
But I'll say
if
like, can I go in for the final part?
go for it.
My final example is like, all of this talks about a physical board or even a digital space. There is
Yeah,
still a very much important part of being the theater of the mind. You don't have to have anything in front of you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
but admittedly that is difficult for some people. Some people are very tactile or visual minded. And so it does have like a whole lot of like weight on the GM to create the world.
Yeah, and I'm sure
But that's why
that
that's why there's so many worlds that you can be in there that are established.
yeah, because I remember how I came into this group actually, because you had to do with the whole theater of the mind when we were still in quarantine under COVID, because we couldn't even meet in person. It was over Discord.
Yep.
It,
And
it was like a year and a half before I actually met you in person.
Yeah, I heard your voice
shook
before I
your,
saw your face.
before before I even shook your hand, and now
oh,
we're friends.
Yep.
um, now there's also things that you can add in that aren't just aids for immersion and things like that, but things that can make your job as a GM or a player easier, or both at the same time.
Ooh, I actually got a
And
good one for this. In fact, and also conjunctive with saying sometimes even the publisher of the campaign gives you tools to deal with. Because I
Yeah.
know in Cyberpunk, one of the people you can be
Uh.
is a net runner, and they got
Yep.
all the programs. And even as a GM, you have to set up like Architect and Black Ice. And sure, you got the book full of everything, but it's like, well, I can't just flip through the book. Well, you can, but it's tedious. So they were just like, hey, have a deck, have a deck of net
Uh,
runners, programmed with
does
Black
epic
Ice and
cards.
everything.
does cost some money, and there's also similar things like trap decks and different as well.
Now, you can also you can accomplish the same sort of thing for less with a package of index cards
Yep.
and a pen. Um,
Yeah, but that would take
you can
effort.
also, if you wanna get fancy, I've given Nick a stack of these, but I've ordered some of them myself. There are playing card size dry erase cards that you can use, or there's a tool that I use that I've shown to several people in person and online. What's one thing that you almost always have to track in any game you play?
Initiative.
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 So I've tried multiple ways of tracking initiative.
And there's
I've tried
multiple
just
ways of doing that.
I've tried, writing it down on a piece of paper for my own use. I've tried putting it all in an Excel spreadsheet that's in front of me if I'm using my laptop, so that I can put everybody's name and then put the result of their roll, and then I can sort by the result of the roll.
Yep.
Uh,
Honestly, I feel like it
I've
just
done
depends on like the group.
Depends on the group and what you have.
It depends on the group and what you have. But what I've settled on, and you guys have seen this, um, I was looking around. I had been for the longest time. I had a small portable dry erase board that I would use for initiative. And then I got to thinking there's got to be an easier way to do this.
There's
And I
gotta be
looked
a better
around.
way.
I looked around and I found they're like address label size dry erase magnet labels. And you've seen them, Nick.
Yeah, come on. We
So I'm
used them.
surprised.
Yep.
But
I
you can
gotta,
get them in.
I gotta make it sound interesting for the folks at home.
But they you can get them in single colors. You can get them in white. I happened to buy a multicolored pack because I figured this way will allow really quickly at a glance to see a few different elements of it, even if I only use two colors. But you know, there's there's like 7 colors in it, and even at the very least, what I could do with it is adversaries are red, PCs are blue or green, and NPCs who aren't adversaries, like friendly NPCs, are like yellow or whatever. And what I can do with them, since they're magnetic and dry erase, I can write down the name of the player or the character and the result of their initiative roll, and then slide around the magnets
Just
and
stack them.
move them in order as I need to. And then when somebody gets knocked out of the initiative order because they've been killed or knocked out, I can just yank that magnet off and slide everything up.
Yeah, so
And it works great for me. I love it.
yeah, so tools can be for like creating a setting or a tone, or it can just be utilitarian. Because I know there's one tool that both players,
immersion or efficiency.
yeah, because I know there's one tool that both GMs and PCs use with dice trays. Simple.
Dice trays. They are
You do,
fundamentally the ultimate. Like, if I have to like personally say, like, get a dice tray. It's like you don't want to have dirty die that fall off there, and then everyone's like arguing. It's like, is
that the result or
or diving under a couch or a TV stand or a table
yeah,
to dig that lost die out, especially if people are bringing their own dice. They're not going to be like, I can get it later. They want
that person's die. They want to figure out like what they
yes,
rolled.
I know many
especially if
times I've had a dice go under the couch and I literally just get up. There it is.
And it's like, well, you can pick that couch, but you gotta roll that again because that's went under the couch, man.
Yeah, dice tray. Because they have like little barriers. So if they roll, they hit the wall and they're still in there.
and those are the cheapest. They can be flat. You could.
Correct. They don't even have to be a dice tray for that purpose. Just get a plastic container. You could do that.
Yeah, it's like just honestly, that's if I had to pick like a part of a gaming table. If they don't have a dice tray, bring your own. That's probably the best for your rolls, and everyone will be like, "Oh, that's good."
I mean, I've got a collapsible dice tray in my gaming backpack.
Yeah, I've got 2 over there.
I've got one in my. Okay, I might have a slight problem. Everyone at home, I have 2 gaming backpacks. I have my general gaming backpack that has my regular box of dice because I am a minor dice goblin. And it has not one but two collapsible dice trays. It has the standard hex collapsible dice
I got
tray,
two.
and
I got two collapsible dice trays. I got two miniature dice trays, and I have three dice trays that are specifically for just individual types of dice.
Is Nick
and
trying to out problem you, Daryl?
and well, my problem is that I have two dedicated gaming backpacks. The and the other backpack is my Star Wars gaming backpack, because in it I have a clipboard that started out as my general gaming clipboard because it opens up and it has storage inside. So I would carry
I
my
have a
character sheets
clipboard
in it.
entirely just for Delta Green, but I'm running Delta Green, so that does that
Well,
suit me?
I bought
You played a
this
little.
clipboard. This clipboard has been with me.
That's
Uh,
entirely for like the main campaign that we're running that you're all part of.
well, this clipboard of mine has been with me since the mid 90s in RPGs, because I got it to store character sheets inside, and it's thick enough and has little trays inside it that I would keep dice in there. And
So
it
Robert, you're the only known normal one of us.
and now it has three sets of Star Wars dice and one set of standard polyhedrals and a set of fate dice, but it lives in the Star Wars backpack.
Well, to be
That
fair for that part, Daryl, that's just protection because you just refuse to roll Nick's dice anymore because of the curse.
well, the thing is, Nick has cursed the dice that are in this clipboard.
Oh no, my house is cursed to dice. It's not entirely
No,
my
Nick.
curse.
No, Nick. These are the dice that you used at Gamer Nation Con when we played Genesis.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Nick, you can't talk when I've known he's played sessions in Star Wars. I think even in Legacy of the Force, where every time he rolls, he's just like, nope, next roll, nope, next roll, nope.
Nick has cursed my dice.
Wait, we've reached the point.
Are we considering this bullying, Nick? Or is this just truth?
I think it's a little of both, but we will ask anything else we want to add about toys or tools of the trade.
I'm sure that there are plenty of toys and tools that we have forgotten, but if we think of them, we can
That could
put
be a
them in a
in
that
a
could be
follow up
another episode.
because
And
there's always more utilities and more things you can use to enhance your game. Honestly,
actually,
it's more.
there's other things. Something else that I just thought of because I was looking over at where I have a bunch of accessories for games stored, and we haven't used it in a while because we haven't needed to. But we talked way back early on in one of our earliest episodes about session 0.
Yes.
And tools that you can have are, if you are running a campaign that has sensitive material in it, another tool that you can have that's helpful and a good utilitarian tool is something to allow people to indicate, you know, go, no go,
Right.
Oh,
if you
the
start to
ball.
get into a topic.
Yeah, the
And
lights.
well, we have a light. It can be anything else. We picked a light because we got fancy and we found a way for it to be anonymous, because we did have a few new people who were new to the group,
Yeah.
and so they wouldn't necessarily feel like they were uh the odd man out as it were.
Exactly.
We found a color changing smart light that can be controlled by an app, and you can invite multiple people to the app. And so we set it by default to green. And if somebody hits a yellow light or a red light during it, everyone has an invite to the app and they can go in and change that light.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be like everything else we've talked about in this episode. It doesn't have to be that fancy. It
No.
can be colored cards.
Yeah, my
It
first
can
ever
it
like
can
It can be a buzzer.
it can be a
the
buzzer.
first
It can just be raising your hand and
before
saying, "Okay."
before any of you two were there. It's like okay, just raise up a little finger lightsaber and a little red lightsaber. It's like
Yes, because
we have
it can help the GM to know when to stop,
to
or
stop,
when
and it's like discuss.
like
It's
a
like
certain
okay.
like a certain someone who brought up a clown in one of the campaigns.
Nick.
But that was me, and I figured that it's like, all right, I will not pick up clowns in the future.
But that was my last minute thought. I just happened to look over and and
But yeah,
saw
there is
the
plenty.
first attempt at the light that
There's
could be
plenty to
controlled by multiple
discuss.
people at once.
There's plenty to discuss. Plenty to influence your game with physical props, both in game and outside your game, to make
Exactly.
it a better experience for everyone. It's
Yeah,
like
because there's something to discover. Because I know, even outside the game, I know Nick's done this sometimes. If he really likes a campaign, we'll do small little short story excerpts to like flesh out the actual plot and story, and just post them to the Discord.
yeah, and that's because that's my personal preference. It's like there's something it's like okay, I can't put that story in naturally, but it fits in naturally. It's like I'll put it in later. It's there's plenty of ways to make your world more full, but also ways to make things better. There's no correct way to do an RPG. It is always a collective storytelling moment.
Yes.
Work with your
And
players, work with what you have, because not everyone has access to miniatures. No one has like a whole bunch of maps or anything. But the your players will appreciate it if you put the effort into, and even the players can put some effort into it. It's like, well, my what if I had like a theme song or something like that, or here's a miniature that I painted myself. It's like there's
Yeah.
not a wrong way to handle.
We're not. What we're saying is you don't have to do an entire stage production of your session to be a good GM. It could be as simple as acting out your talking or adding an accent if you can. Even that's just a tool because it just helps with the immersion.
absolutely. Okay, so we live in a world of wonderful technology, and we're teasing Nick so fiercely that his entire internet gave out as we were
Yes.
in the closing.
Yeah, it looks like the technology curse has struck again.
Yes, or ooh, maybe it's the beginning of the end of the world, revolt of the machines scenario that I've done at Nick's before, where that's the first symptom. You know, the technology goes haywire at Nick's house, and none of the characters, which are us because of what the conceit is in End of the World, none of the characters realize that there's a problem because, well, it's Nick's house and it's technology going haywire.
Yes, well, hopefully it's not that, because we are in the middle of summer. I do not need my AC going out right now.
Yes, no, we do not. But so technology has recognized that we were at the end of the show. So uh, what I was going to say is anyone who has any of your own personal favorite toys and tools that you use in a game, feel free to drop us a line at podcast@howwerollgaming, and we can kind of loop back around to this subject if there's anything super cool. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and we'll close things out. We will
Let's
say
do it.
to check out our website at howwerollgaming.com, and there you'll find information about our current campaigns, the podcast archive, and links to our merch store and all of our social media links.
Yeah, you can also directly support the show through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/howwerollgaming, and you'll see our different membership tiers starting at just $2 a month, with special recognition on our Discord server, and higher tiers giving you on-air credit and discounts on our merch store. And then I'll just be nice and do Nick's part. Finally, if you have any questions you'd like to answer, topics you'd like us to cover, or even to submit your own RPG glory story, shoot us an email at podcast@howwerollgaming.com.
Yep. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to have you back next time. We have a fun show that we have planned for next time. And until then, Nick was Nick. I'm Daryl.
And I'm Robert.
And this is How We Roll.